Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're just going to be looking at this continued move. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Now, one thing that I could do, of course, anytime there's a pump, is be sensationalist about it and pretend like it's going to 20K, and then every time it corrects, pretend like it's going to zero to get the clicks. But again, you guys know what this is, right? It's nothing more than business as usual. The price of Bitcoin is 11.5. I mean, so what, right? I mean, it was 11.5 6 weeks ago too. This dip here is it can be a sobering experience, right? I mean, this is the whole idea that we've talked about for months. Again, is this test of the 20-week moving average and wanting to see several weeks, months of holding it as support before confidence can resume to the market. And we must always be ready for the 20-week. We don't seek it out, but we must always be ready for it when it happens. And what does that mean exactly? Well, again, a lot of you who invest in Bitcoin are also invested in other cryptocurrencies as well, because you recognize that the potential returns on those other cryptocurrencies could be higher, but you're paying for that theoretical reward with units of risk. And the reason why this is important is because when you get Bitcoin moving well above the 20-week and then moving sideways above the 20-week, we know during this time a lot of altcoins were moving like crazy. They were going up several X, and a lot of people were FOMOing in at the top. But again, this is not how you should do things. The idea is you're already sitting on the altcoins that you want, and then you wait for that pump to come to you. When it does, you dynamically DCA out of the market so that by the time you get to this point, okay, by the time you get to that point, when Bitcoin corrects, at least you've sold portions of the various cryptocurrencies that you own, either to USD or to Bitcoin. During this phase of the market cycle, I mostly just sell back to Bitcoin, sometimes Ethereum, depending on those different valuations. But again, a good example was selling Link, 2/3 of my Link during this time back to Bitcoin, so that when it did crash, at least Bitcoin didn't drop nearly as much as Link did, right? I mean, Link dropped 50%, Bitcoin only dropped around 20%. So, and then it's just business as usual, right? When Bitcoin's at the 20-week moving average, every successive test of it will likely cause these altcoins to bleed again and again against Bitcoin and against USD. You focus on Bitcoin during these times. When it comes back up, then you can start to think about diversifying again. But again, as long as Bitcoin remains overly bullish, where it's going up several $100s a day, then I think the eyes are gonna be on Bitcoin, and this is generally true. The main times where it's not are when we can identify key areas backed by the data that suggests that this coin might actually perform in a different manner than the other coins based on historical data and historical trends. And one of the main coin that we said was going to do this was Monero. This was we talked about this coin a few months ago. We've probably made 3 videos on it in the last 2 months, calling for this breakout. And again, it's not anything that is my opinion. It's just what the data suggests, and I'm just the messenger of the data. And we go through this cycle and recognize, okay, there's an opportunity here, but there might not be an opportunity over here, and so you don't necessarily need to FOMO into a coin that you just want to own because for the hell of it. You look to see where the opportunity is. Okay, and with Bitcoin, the opportunity for continued accumulation of altcoins when it's testing the 20-week moving average is it's not really there for the most part, right? I mean, most of these coins are going to be bleeding against Bitcoin, and you get certain times where you get to a risk level that's low enough. If you're unfamiliar with the risk level, it's what I focus on the premium list into thecryptoverse.com. You can find a link to that in the description below, so check it out. But even if you're not on the premium list, you'll see me talk about the risk levels occasionally on the channel. And so what we look for again is to identify where we can get into the market where the risk is justified. And sometimes it's not just the quantitative risk of that specific coin, but it's also looking at the proximity of Bitcoin to the 20-week moving average and recognizing where it might be a little bit too risky to get into that asset. So again, this is nothing more than business as usual. We saw this exact same trend where it came back up and it came down to the 20-week to the local bottom and then back up to the local top during the last market cycle. And if you look back at it, during that last cycle, we know that same pattern played out over here. And imagine, I mean, there weren't nearly as many crypto YouTubers around during this time, but imagine how many clickbait titles you could have had during this period, right? Like, Bitcoin's going, people saying in this region, Bitcoin's going back to $1,100 imminently. In this region, Bitcoin's going back to $100 imminently. Oh, Bitcoin's going back to $1,000, right? Oh, it's crashing again. Oh, it's going up again. See, it's nothing more than business as usual, and until we get to these blow off speculative bubbles, then this is all it is, right? I mean, it's just business as usual. There's trends that we can take advantage of, and it's really nothing more than that, in my opinion, right? I mean, it's nothing more than that, and that's why I'll tell you how it is. I'm not gonna make these videos that try to paint the picture in a different way than it should be painted, right? And the way to paint it is just by looking at the data. That's the only accurate way to paint it. And technically speaking, it's the only way that you should be painting it, because that's all that really matters, not a sensationalist opinion blown out of proportion. So again, 11.5, a lot of you are probably excited, but remember, so what, right? I mean, so what? This is business as usual. We know that we're on track. At least for now, we are on track again to reach a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin by the end of next year. Okay, and this is what we want to focus on. It's going to take us probably another 16 months or so to get to a sustainable 20K, and once we get to that point, things can really get out of hand. So if you think it's crazy now, as I've said before, this is just practice. We're not even talking about the game. It's just practice. It's all we're talking about here. And so because of that, it's important to become resolute now on your decision making, because later on it's just going to get harder. Okay, it's just going to get harder to stay disciplined. So if you can stay disciplined now, then it gives you a better chance of staying disciplined later, once the market is really blowing the top off. But if you find yourself not able to stay disciplined, and you find yourself throwing, tons of money into altcoins that are already up 100x or something, then you're probably also not going to fare well later, when more is on the line. So I want to bring that message to you. I mean, one of the reasons I'm bringing you the message of the data behind crypto in 2019 and 2020 is so that come like 2023, you'll believe me when I tell you that the party's almost over, or whenever it happens to be, whether it's late 2022, maybe even 2024, but so that you'll believe it, because you'll say, you know what, we've been focused on the data all along. The only reason that I think it might go higher is because that's what my greed tells me, that's what my emotions are telling me. But at the end of the day, like, let's just focus on what the math suggests, and if we get to that point, then recognize that the party's almost over, and then you want to protect that wealth, right? You don't want to just completely gamble all those returns away that you've experienced. You want to protect it so that you can provide a better life. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than an investor who's buying Bitcoin in these levels down here, and inevitably there's going to be some guy that's purchasing it over here, and in a few years, when it's all the way up here, they're somehow going to have managed to lose money. And what's really sad about that is that there are going to be some people that will be buying Bitcoin here and will actually make money, because they'll just do a short-term gamble. It'll happen to work out, and they'll probably make money. Whereas you're going to have some people that were buying over here. They're going to see a nice ROI. Then they're going to go gamble it on a lot of altcoins once they're already up 1,000x, and then get really frustrated when they don't do what they thought should have happened. So again, I'm just letting you guys know this is business as usual. It's nothing to get too worked up about. Just stay resolute. This is the new normal. If your portfolio is up like 10-15% and you're over the moon, just get accustomed to the new normal. And this is your money. Don't treat it like the house's money. So this video is more of a pep talk, I should say, rather than anything too quantitative. But you guys know the strategy. Let's just stick to it. Business as usual. Check out the premium list if you want access to the exclusive content, which, by the way, I spend a lot of time on that. So if you guys think I spend time here, you probably would be shocked by the amount of time I spend posting stuff to that, the private Telegram channel, the alerts channel, the weekly videos and the reports. So check it out, intothecryptoverse.com. At the very least, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.